Welcome to Uncopyable Women in Sales. If you're looking for actionable insights and real-world tools to turbocharge your sales starting tomorrow, well, you're in the right place. Your host, Kay Miller, earned the affectionate nickname Muffler Mama when she sold more automotive mufflers than anyone else in the world. In this podcast, Kay will talk to another superstar woman in sales as they reveal uncopyable strategies you can use to rack up more leads, snag dream clients, and take your sales numbers through the roof. Stay tuned and get ready to make more sales and how about this? More money.
Today, I will be talking with Megan Pritz, an experienced sales product trainer with Newmar Corporation, which manufactures and sells luxury RVs. Megan was recently named one of the 40 under 40 by RV Pro magazine and received her award at the RV Dealers Convention and Expo in Las Vegas. She has been a high achiever over her 6-year career, and I can't wait to take a deeper dive into what makes you successful. Megan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Kay. I'm so excited to be here.
I have been really looking forward to this. Just want to make a note that I am getting over a cold, which you can probably tell. So my voice is a little off, but luckily you can't catch this if you're listening, right?
There we go, yeah.
Megan, you came very highly recommended by Joe Snyder, who is with FCCC, which is Freightliner Custom Chassis Corporation, and he just thinks the world of you. And that seems to be a common theme. Because when I put on LinkedIn that I was going to be interviewing you, a ton of people just raved about you and said you're just really a standout. So I would like to delve into your background a little bit, starting with your university experience at Manchester University, where you graduated in 2017. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Manchester isn't too far from where I grew up. It's about an hour away. So I kind of got that experience to be away from home, but close enough to go home and, maybe get a thing of gas or groceries from mom and dad on the weekends or a home cooked meal. But Manchester it brought me my husband, which is really cool. And obviously where I am today in my professional career, but made a lot of really good friends and mentors there. Went there with the idea of going into sports management. And I actually had a business minor at the time. And one of my professors said, hey, you're already going into sports management. That already is essentially a business management degree. So why do you have a business minor? And it kind of made me question as to, why do I have that? He goes, why don't you consider a sales minor? He goes, you're going to constantly be selling yourself, and no matter what industry you go into, he goes, it's just going to add that additional advantage to you when you leave here, especially in sports. Anyone that has gone into sport management other than to be a coach knows for the most part, you're probably going into sales of some sort. And so with that sales background and sport management background, we actually had a activity within that sales program where we had to sell Pacers tickets in class. We actually had to get on the phone during class, cold call people, sell Pacers tickets. And then once we graduated from that class, we became a sales manager, and we had salespeople underneath us who would then do the cold calling, and we had to manage and track their calls, which was really cool. So you got to see both facets of that leaving there. And within that, I actually played softball for about 1.5 to 2 years. Ended up realizing, not going to go anywhere with softball, not going to play professionally. So went a different avenue and got very involved in extracurricular activities. So I actually got involved in sports broadcasting. I did internships with athletic directors, and I was actually elected as well as the College of Business president as well, which was very cool.
Wow. You did a lot.
Yeah.
You're very involved. And I do want to say congratulations, because you did just get married a couple months ago. And so that's very cool. Very recent.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I wanted to say. I like the fact that you said everything includes sales. You said sports management. Really, we are always selling ourselves. We're selling ideas. and either a product or service.
Mhm.
So I like the fact that you see the sales in everything.
Yeah. Even if you're just making a new friend or building a relationship with someone, you're selling yourself to that person. Hey, like me, be my friend. Like, let's go get dinner, So no matter what, you're constantly selling yourself. And I think those sales skills, even if, specific to a sales industry, are way more multifaceted than people maybe realize.
So I know that you pride yourself in being a really good relationship builder. Do you have any techniques or, unique strategies that you use to build and maintain relationships?
I'll be honest. Actually, that's perfect because honesty is a big thing for me. And I'm also maybe too much to the point. I don't like to beat around the bush if I'm going to be completely transparent with customers and people in my life. And I think that is the easiest and best way to get someone to fully trust you. Because if you go into any relationship, friendship, or sale based around a lie, that's already going to set you off on the wrong foot and set you up for failure. And, I always like to say that sales is going to sell you your first product of whatever you're selling, but your service and your relationship with that person is going to bring them back for their second, third, or fourth product with you. So for me, it's all about honesty and just getting to really know what is important to the customer. I think too often when you are speaking to a customer in any avenue, you get so focused or hypertensive around the actual product that you forget, what? Hey, let me take a step back and ask you what you want. You've already come here with a specific sort of knowledge, a specific idea of what you want. So why don't you give me the answers? Because I have every product that you could need. Just tell me exactly what you want. And understanding what they need out of this product, especially at Newmar, we build homes for people essentially on wheels. And it's like, okay, well, what are you doing? Are you going on adventures? Are you taking your kids? Are you taking your grandkids, your dogs? And how do I build that relationship? And in that avenue, you also just get to know a person and vice versa. You get to relate on a ton of different things, which is very, very cool.
And, people can really tell, I think, when you're being transparent.
No,
they can
not
pick
at
up
all.
on that and that whole vibe of being real, being you, being human. And of course, it's very important to find out what the customer really wants. Get their perspective. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that salespeople make. And I think a lot of times it's just that we're very excited about our product and, we think it's the right thing for our customer. But until we really find out what the customer needs and wants, we can't really make that recommendation.
Absolutely. And being passionate about what you do sell is a huge part of your success. But even more so, I would argue that being more passionate about your moose or your target market, like you talk about in your book, is even more beneficial because they're going to be the ones that, get you over that hump, get you that sale. And just truly understanding that target market is what's going to make you successful.
And of course, I love that you bring up the term moose. And a lot of people will be listening and not watching, but I have a big picture of a moose behind me. And
Great.
that's a cool picture. The moose really does represent your ideal prospect. And that not only makes it easier to sell, but from the customer's perspective, they will be happier with what you're offering because it's a better match. And I do talk about the win-win in selling. And I know that was a concept that you really liked. Because we've all been in situations where we're the buyer, right? And somebody's trying to cram something down our throat.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody likes that feeling. So if you can put yourself in the customer's shoes, and you sound like you do an excellent job of really delving into what their true needs are so that you can recommend the best option.
And going back to your win-win concept in your book, it also takes me back to, get truly understanding the customer and how I said, service or your relationship with the customer is going to give you your second, third, or fourth sale with them. Going to that win-win concept, you mentioned in your book, from that relationship, not only do you get the sale with them, but you also get repeated sales from them. You get referrals and testimonials, which is huge. And if people out there, this was big at the D-backs too, which we can dive into later on, but if you're not asking for referrals, you are really hurting yourself, especially after you build that strong rapport with somebody else. You've got to ask for referrals. Even if they don't have them now, they could in the future. So
That's an excellent point. And just to get into a specific, how do you go about asking for a referral?
yeah, honestly. So when I was with the Arizona Diamondbacks, a professional baseball team out in Arizona, anytime I would sell season tickets to someone or a group to someone, I'd say, hey, I know you work in the construction industry. Is there anyone that you've partnered with in the past or anyone that you know close to that would maybe get some value out of, attending a game with their company as well? Hey, you know what, Megan? Actually, I do. I have so-and-so here. Let me give you their contact info. Or, hey, I don't at this moment, but if something arises in the future, make sure I have your contact info or your card so I can pass it on to other people. And it's just like asking for the close. You got to get more comfortable asking for the referrals. And again, you're going to get some no's and you might get some yeses who lead to some of your biggest sales anyways. So again, it's just being comfortable with that fear of no and just getting over that hurdle.
I like your perspective of saying, do you know someone else who could get value from this?
Yeah.
Instead of someone else that I could sell. So again,
Right.
you're looking at the customer's perspective. And I'm sure that makes people much more comfortable with referring people,
yes.
right?
Yep. Because it is that awkward ask of, hey, do I have the comfortability with someone to give somebody else's name out? Because I know you're going to contact them. It's like, hey, I've built this great rapport with Megan Pritz. She's going to take care of you. She took care of us. She really wants the best outcome for you and whoever's attending this game for you. And, just again, building that value for your customers is a huge asset.
Well, you sound like you're really on top of how this works the best.
Oh, I try, but I'm not perfect. That's
nobody's perfect. And like I said, the transparency and even admitting your mistakes. And, I start out my book talking about one of my biggest mistakes that I was too afraid to go into the account that I was calling on. But I want to kind of morph into your experience on video because you might be nervous and afraid the first time, but the next time it's never so bad. And I have watched some of your videos on YouTube and you go through these luxury RVs. And if you haven't checked these out, I mean, these are just top of the line, amazing homes on wheels.
Yeah.
And so how have you gotten comfortable being on video? Because I'm guessing also it was very difficult in the beginning.
It was. So for me, my background on video kind of goes back to my Manchester days of doing sports broadcasting because that would be live. So we would interview coaches and athletes and that would be broadcasted across Manchester University and posted on YouTube and social media. I actually think I have a clip on my LinkedIn somewhere that if you guys really want to go back to my golden days, you guys can go watch that. But anyone that knows our product here at Newmar knows that we have 13 brands, and within each brand, there's, anywhere from 6 to 12 floor plans. There's hundreds of standards, hundreds of options. So truly fine-tuning how you go through a video and kind of getting almost like an organization for you. It's like, hey, I'm going to start here, move here. This is what I'm going to talk about here, and vice versa. But again, like going back to that first video, I stumbled, man. I was so nervous. I was like, I can't get this wrong. This is going out to customers. But again, it's just like you talk about in that book, it's overcoming that fear of rejection or mistakes. And you know what? If I make a mistake, I go back and I own it. And like, hey, you know what? I'm going to correct myself here. And the great thing too is having other people watch you and also give you recommendations. You also can't be scared of criticism out there as well, because you're going to get it no matter what, especially when you're on YouTube, people are going to watch you. I think our most views on a video is 18,000 or so. So, 18,000 random people are out there watching me on video, and I just got to make sure that I'm on it. So I think kind of getting over that first one and gaining that confidence in our product, gaining my product knowledge too over the last 3 years has completely skyrocketed my confidence in doing videos and just being more comfortable on camera talking about our product. And now I don't even have to go through a script. I can just talk about stuff because I know it. And it's very, very cool. But now I'm kind of on the facet of, I've done walk arounds. I've done a lot of knowledge here and there, but I want to do more specified videos on, hey, here's the benefit of Newmar. or here's this feature of Newmar. What's the actual benefit that the customer is getting from it? So now I'm kind of challenging myself to move into that direction a little bit.
To dive deeper, right,
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
what the customer will get out of this product.
Exactly. Why are they finding
great.
value in this feature? How is that going to benefit you when you're dry camping or on the road? Instead of being like, hey, this is cool, but what am I actually going to get value out of this?
Today's podcast is sponsored by the acclaimed book, Uncopyable Sales Secrets, How to Create an Unfair Advantage and Outsell Your Competition by Kay Miller. If you want to make more sales, you need to read this book. We'll even get you started with a free download of the first 2 chapters. Go to uncopyablesales.com/chapters to grab this offer right now.
18,000 people is a lot.
Yes.
And so when you picture 18,000 people, how much of a stadium that will fill,
Exactly.
that is a lot. And, of course, your videos, you really feel like, when I watch them, I feel like you're talking to me. And I think that's one of your skills, is that it seems like you're talking to me, not a crowd of 18,000 people. You are very personable, and you do seem very confident. And so I think it's helpful for us to hear the fact that you weren't always that confident.
Oh, yeah. And I hope, honestly, I don't think anybody is. I mean, that just comes with growth. And that's part of the growing pains of failure and, fear of rejection and stuff is without fear, without failure, there's absolutely no growth in any of that, because how would any of us learn and get better? And you bring up a good point, in my videos too, is I genuinely just feel like I'm having a conversation with somebody. That's how I treat those versus, I'm just sitting here talking to a camera by myself is, hey, someone out there is actually going to watch this. I want this to be more conversational and a little bit more fun. So I try to put some personal spins on it as well.
I think that's important to, reveal part of yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though, and of course on video, you are the one talking, but the listening part, which you actually have to do before you record the videos, is key and important so that you can deliver the value that's going to mean something to them.
Absolutely.
You obviously have such a strong work ethic. It sounds like you always have. And I'm wondering, does that come from some particular part of your background and growing up, or is that just your personality?
Probably a little both. I'd like to say it probably comes from being the oldest child and having 2 younger brothers. Is I kind of became a parent before I wanted to be a parent and leading those 2. No, but in all seriousness, my parents have always ingrained in me to, if you're going to do something, don't do it halfway. And if you're going to show up, continue to show up, whether that be in a team aspect or anything of that nature. I played 3 sports all of high school, all varsity, and, have a very competitive mindset. I've always had high expectations and high goals for myself. I come from a small town of 2 stoplights, and, if anything, that pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit and wanted me to grow out of there. I wanted to do something. So many people tend to fall in the routine of, staying in a small town mindset potentially. And granted, you can always come home. I did, and I love it, and I don't regret that for anything. It's just, having those expectations means that I'm going to have to get out of this town. I'm going to have to go experience things. I'm going to have to go meet people. I'm going to have to make networks and connections and do stuff like that. So I've always had a very strong work ethic, and I just hold myself to a very high standard, which can get me in trouble sometimes because I can be a little stubborn and prideful. But we're, again, growing on that and continuing to ask questions and take opportunities as they come. So
one of the things I noticed that you are proud of is your adaptability. And you did go to Arizona. So you did move away from that small town. And it sounds like you had a great experience with the Diamondbacks. And then comes a little thing called COVID, right?
Yeah.
That upended so many people's lives. And so that sounds like that's how you came back to Indiana.
Yes, it is.
So that is being very adaptable. Life threw you a curveball and you really went with it and landed on your feet in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I owe COVID for a lot of different things, to be honest with you. Moving back home was one of them. My husband and I getting back together was one of them. And also getting my current job at Newmar. So, we can look at COVID as in a lot of negative lights. But thankfully for me, it was kind of a positive in that sense. So,
Right. A mixed blessing.
yeah, absolutely.
I also want to touch on your athletic background. Our daughter played college golf and she got a golf scholarship. She played
Yeah.
all through her junior years, high school years. And I do think that athletics,
Mhm.
is a lot like sports and gives you great training, the discipline that it takes. And like you said, the competitive spirit that it builds, I think is really helpful to sales. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I also think too, like you said, showing up and being dedicated, you have, depending on what sport you're playing, even golf, you're still on a team. Even if that's an individual sport, you still have a team relying on you, to hit a certain par underneath your goal. So I think just being able to show up for other people at such a young age puts a certain discipline in you as well, and a certain dedication and passion for other people, and maybe the way that your actions or words can affect others. And I think that stems from athletics for me at a young age.
Right. Yes. Like you say, even though golf is an individual sport, it is a team sport.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good combination of that team team experience plus the competition against others. And,
Absolutely.
most salespeople really are motivated by that competition. It makes us better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I definitely have my competitive edge. I hate losing. Come to any of our family holidays, and I usually get yelled at because I either win too much or I get too angry when I don't. So
That's funny. And then it could be a good thing, like you
Yeah.
said, in the business world and especially sales. So we've touched a lot about on things that make you who you are. How would you describe then what you think makes a great salesperson?
Yeah, so we've already touched on two of those things. So I kind of have my top five. So adaptability. Um, Anyone who has a normal job is probably salary, and you and I both know that is a very pretty much even keel job. No matter what happens, you're going to get paid. Anyone in sales knows that it's a mountain. You're going to have ebbs and flows. And as long as you are able to adapt to those ebbs and flows, and when you're high, ride that high as far as you can. And when you're low, you try to stop that and cut that bleeding as fast as possible. My husband actually got that from his dad, who has been in sales for many, many years now. And I think as long as we can all just ride that ebb and flow together and continue to ride those highs. So adaptability is a huge one. And again, just never ending markets. You never know what's going to happen with people and customers. But honesty is a big one for me. Again, just that transparency, building that trust. I also think you have to have confidence and resilience, because again, you come back to that fear of rejection and no. And coming back from one of those lows in the valley is just that resilience to come back and continue to fight for that next sale. Then that next yes is finding that in the gravel there. And then the last one would be active listening for me. I think so often, salespeople, we like to talk. We like to hear ourselves talk.
Yes, we do.
Talk about it. So, but I think, finding that balance of, what, I need to just sit back and listen to this customer and what they need and what they're wanting from me. I think that is a huge asset to a salesperson in any industry, is just being able to have genuine active listening skills and gathering what a customer truly needs from you and being able to then adapt and change your sales pitch based on what they want.
Exactly. And when you touch on the ups and downs of sales, that is something that we have to each figure out how we're going to deal with that, because that's just the nature of the beast, right? You're going to have good times and bad times, and you just have to get through those bad times and know that the good times will be coming back.
Absolutely. Yep. If you're looking for consistency, sales is probably not for you.
Exactly. And maybe a thick skin, and yes, tenacious and grit, of course, is a buzzword now since Angela Duckworth wrote that phenomenal book, Grit.
Yes.
And it just takes that grit to keep yourself going. Like you said, sales is not just a go to work. Here's what you're supposed to do today.
It is not a 9-to-5 job.
No, but also I can tell that you love sales. What do you love about sales?
I think what sales has brought me is an entirely different level of confidence in myself. And from like a personal standpoint, it's just figuring out really who I am and who I can be to other people. And I think you touch on it in your book too, is kind of finding who you are and who you are as a professional and who you are to a customer and kind of your footprint in that. And for me, I've just learned to be confident, stand up for myself, and especially as women in sales too, so often maybe we get overlooked or talked over. So for me, it's this newfound confidence of, hey, I know what I bring to the table and I'm going to sit at this table. I'm going to take these opportunities. So I would just say a newfound edge of confidence. And then also, I just love being competitive. I love winning. I love making deals. And then the third asset is just talking to people. I cannot sit behind a desk. I get so bored and so unmotivated. Those are like my worst days for me. They're necessary, but if I could be out there talking to people, I would much rather be out there talking to people.
Right. I'm assuming you're an extrovert and you get your energy from people and from being around people, right?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, sales does sound perfect for you. You touched a couple times on being a woman in sales in basically a male-dominated industry. And of course, we have that in common. And I got such a kick out of seeing that picture that you posted on LinkedIn. The group
was awesome.
of all these guys that you had done a sales training for. And then there's Meg in the middle, not actually the middle, but, standing out. And so I'm curious, what challenges has that presented to you? And maybe even what opportunities in helping you be uncopyable and standing out?
Absolutely. So I'll take you back real quick. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, we talk about sports, and I thought that was the male-dominated industry. And then I moved home. I went into RV sales and realized that I was completely and utterly wrong. I was actually working a show out in San Luis Obispo, and we had a rep dinner. And so the manager of the dealership invited us all out. So I show up, and I kid you not, Kay, I walk into this private room. There's 40 male reps there and one female, and that's me.
Oh my gosh, you're the only one.
And so in something in that nature, you can look in there and be like, I am completely intimidated. I do not belong here, and turn around. Or like I said, you can go and sit at that table. You can sit there, you can make your name known, you can tell them exactly who you are and who you want them to see you as. And I think males in this industry too, seeing that confidence of a woman just being able to sit, have a conversation with you and being able to walk into a room of 40 males and not be intimidated goes a long way with that population. And for me, it's like, I have something to prove a little bit. It's obviously poses challenges, and I'll talk to that, here in a minute, but I see more opportunities, to be honest. In a male-dominated industry, I love it. I kind of thrive in that. I love talking to people, who maybe see me and you're like, hey, you've only been here for 3 years. You don't know as much as that guy, or something like that. And our account managers at Newmar do a really good job of, hey, you need to talk to Megan because she knows more than us. And so, they're kind of my little guardians over there. They kind of go to bat for me. But I was working the same show out at San Luis Obispo, and I was sitting in one of our Canyon Stars, and I had a male rep from a completely different company. He did towables, sitting right next to me. We were just having a casual conversation. A customer walked in, immediately turned to him and asked him a question about
assuming that you wouldn't know as much, right?
About the Canyon Star. And the gentleman goes, hey, you got to talk to her. She's the Newmar rep. So I gave him my answer. He went back to the gentleman still and goes, okay, so are you sure this is correct? Blah, blah, blah. What is the, asked another question. And so he goes, again, sir, you have to ask her. And so I eventually just stood up, introduced myself. I said, hey, I am the Newmar sales product trainer. Should you have any remaining questions, please feel free to find me. Here's my card. And I answered all of his questions to the best of my knowledge, and just, made myself like, I was like, I'm not just going to continue to sit here and be ignored. I'm going to stand up and be like, hey, it's me.
Well,
Yeah. And just making yourself known.
yeah, huge props to you for doing that. And also huge props to the gentleman that kept saying, you need to talk to her. You need to talk to her. And so that's what I experienced years ago. And I'm sure you still do, that some people are resistant and then you prove yourself and you overcome that. But some of the men are just naturally helpful and want to promote you and want to
absolutely
further your career.
More than I don't. I do. I truly, and I can't speak more to everyone that I've met in this industry. They are full female power over here, to be honest. Like, they are wanting you to succeed. They want you to be known. They advocate for you. And I cannot speak more highly of my Newmar team in-house, with the males on my team. They really advocate for us women there in sales, which is awesome.
That is good. And I've always thought, you give what you get. Yeah. So if you put that out there, that's what you're going to get. And you put out your confidence, you belong at the table. You know you belong at the table and you're not apologizing for that.
Absolutely.
And yes, you meet some resistance, but you overcome that. And I'm sure that you get extra respect and extra props from people that see you doing that and admire that.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I get, excited too when I'm working shows and I see other female reps out there just kicking butt, We work a Hershey show. It's one of the biggest RV shows out there. And, you only have a handful of female sales rep versus the men out there with the dealer and stuff. But you kind of, as a fellow female, you kind of just get excited and giddy for them. You're like, I just want you to succeed. Like, go out there and be a shark. Like, go beat the boys.
There you go. We're a team. And, as I've talked about in other podcasts, we really love the guys and it's great to have a mix, but also that support other women, the theme of supporting other women. I think that has changed through the years and I'm so happy to see that. Just like I mentor some young women and I feel always like I learn as much from them, people like you, as I teach. So it's just really all around, just very satisfying.
Absolutely.
And I can't believe it, but we're out of time. Can you believe
so fast?
30 minutes went by, but you have given so much great information and also inspiration and encouragement. And I think anyone listening to this is going to walk away with a lot of value. So I'm just delighted that I had this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you so much, Megan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Kay. Anyone listening out there, and if you haven't, definitely go listen to our other podcasts. There's a lot of inspirational women out there, including Kay herself. And definitely grab a copy of her Uncopyable Sales Secrets. It'll make you stand out and win-win for everybody here. So thank you so much, Kay. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Uncopyable Women in Sales, your source for secrets you can use to make more sales. Check the show notes for links and contact information. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please spread the word by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. You can always learn more by going to uncopyablesales.com/podcast. Until next time, go out and supercharge your sales like a true uncopyable rock star.